Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode, of course, of All Knicked Up. Your favorite podcasters, podcasts, favorite live streamers, live stream. We got it all covered over here. We're the best. And I don't care about anybody else. I'm just in that kind of mood today anyway. So, hope everyone has been having a good winter. It's been freezing cold for most people, at least around here. We get a little bit of like, oh, look, spring and summer, and then it goes back to cold right away. So, it's this time of year. It's March. March Madness is beginning this week soon as well, so we have that to look forward to. But this show, we talk about the NBA, most specifically the New York Knicks. Of course, I do not do this by myself. Let me bring in my partners in crime. Let's bring in Joe and Ty. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
How are you all doing? This is the first time the three of us have been together in a while, so I want to kind of embrace the moment, sit for a minute, moment of silence. Everyone here.
It's good to be back. I missed you guys.
It's good to have you back, brother. It's good to have you back. We're good, the two of us, but we're better with three. We're like Supremes and Destiny's Child. Who else was a good threesome? Let's go through all of this and see what else they
No, Destiny's Child.
I was going to say Destiny's Child on Beyonce, but that just ain't true.
Don't be able to vote.
And they were four first, right? They were four first, so that's a good thing to point out as well.
What is it?
They were four. Belvin Pavot, that's another good one. Belvin Pavot in there.
Well, Eric be the only one singing. He's Ricky Bell because he can sing. The rest of those two jokers. Me and Joe.
Don't say that. I don't want people asking me to start singing. Not to now, anyway. Still getting over a little bit of a cold. I don't sound my best. Voice will be cracking all over the place. Not something I want to deal with right now. But yes, we are back. We're here to discuss the Knicks. Before we get into the Knicks, though, I mean, everyone, if you follow me or if you follow me on social media, you know I'm a St. John's alum. St. John's is going to the big dance again. They got shafted, in my opinion, being a 5 seed. I don't know how you can win your conference tournament, win the conference regular season, beat the team who's a 2 seed twice, and be given a spot 5 and not at least 3. I thought they would at least get a 3, but whatever. I honestly think that there is some kind of bias against Rick Pitino just because
that's a slick Rick thing. They don't like Rick Pitino.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. So, but are you guys into the tournament or?
I will be now that St. John's. St. John's actually was my favorite team growing up.
Right.
Big East.
I pay attention when Nova's there. When I played basketball, I was in the Villanova basketball camp back when Rollie was
Oh, okay.
Oh,
there. So I always rooted for Nova.
And people wonder why, like, no offense to Patrick, but Patrick wore that gray outfit. I was never. I don't care what he wore as a Knick. That sweat dripping bastard. I never liked him for. I just never. I can't. I mean, I'm a Knick fan clearly, but. Yeah, that's all right. The Johnny's. No, I can't play around with that.
I respect that though, because when the Knicks first got him, like I was like, "Oh yes, Patrick Ewing," but I felt the same way. I was kind of like, Like of course, I wanted Chris Mullin, right? Like that's who I wanted.
Absolutely.
Everybody wanted Chris Mullin.
Yeah, the bad. That's what I wanted. I wanted Chris Mullin in the garden. Absolutely.
I know, but.
All those cats, Willie Glass, come on. I mean, I don't even want Patrick. I'm sorry, Patrick. You got to go.
Well, he won. I have to say, watching him play.
Pinckney.
Yeah,
that's true. Could have gotten Pinckney as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Patrick was you're wrong. It's just I'm always a St. John's fan. I'm a Johnny, so I just never.
Yeah.
I can't pull over to that.
So hopefully they have a nice run this year. I like the way the team's playing. They look good in the tournament. I like the way they played heading into the tournament. A lot of people, they're a sleeper. They're the sleeper Final Four pick this year for a lot of people. I hate that though because I'm like, I'd rather just kind of coast under the radar. But it's hard to when you have that coach. It's hard to when Pitino's your coach.
It's great seeing that program revive, though.
Absolutely,
it really is. That was dormant for a long time, and it was a shame.
Yes.
Yeah.
That I agree with.
Good since the sweater guy left.
Yeah, Big Lou.
They they had some good seasons under Mike Jarvis. But yeah, for the most part, it's been kind of a downtime for St. John's basketball for a while. So it's good to see them back. Whenever they're good, college basketball matters in this area. I don't care what anyone says. I know we have Seton Hall and UConn, and a lot of people claim UConn, but St. John's is good because they play in the Garden. Obviously, it's more of an event. College basketball is more of an event here. So good luck to my Johnnies. And good luck.
Elsa frozen. You back?
Yeah, what happened? That was weird.
Yeah, I've been chopping out too.
I don't know what happened. That's crazy. My signal looks good. Maybe it's StreamYard's fault. Well, if it is, I'll complain after the show, but we'll just try to and do what we can. So let's get into it. Let's start talking about our Knicks. Get my little banner up there. So if you guys want to interact with us about the show, you can hit us up on our handles that you see under our names, but also at all_Nick_up is the handle for the show. So you can hit us up over there as well. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about, because it's been a problem for a minute now, they've survived because they haven't been playing difficult teams, but the slow starts. Slow starts have been problematic, especially it wasn't as evident against the good teams, but against the recent teams they've been playing, it's been kind of a tough thing for me to watch because I don't understand it. Like, why is it taking you a quarter to get invested in the game, and then you got to come back and all this other stuff going on? So, Ty, what do you attribute that to? Like, what do you think that the cause of that is?
You know what it is for me? I think the Knicks have been notoriously one of those teams, and I think it's a psychological thing that they do, and it might be from their actual leader in a sense. I've always believed this a little bit about Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is great when you think he's not capable, when you think he can't climb the mountain, when it's insurmountable. That guy thrives under that kind of light and that kind of pressure. And you kind of take on the personality of your best player sometimes. Sometimes it's a locker room leader that even it's not your best player, it's just the voice of your locker room. I just don't think the Knicks have ever really established that as far as who is the voice of the Knicks. But by default, it's always been Jalen Brunson as the quote unquote captain. That's how he was named the captain. Because of being the best player on the team per se. I think it's kind of who he is. He likes getting it out the mud, and I think a lot of times this team has the same belief. You're dealing with the reigning clutch player of the year for a reason. He comes through in the clutch. He comes and bails out the team because that's really what the clutch player is when you think about it. He's the one. I think there's a term, I can't remember the psychological term, when there's those people that show up to save the day. They know, like they get the thrill of saving the day, like the ambulances hit somebody and they're like, oh, I came here. Like they chase the moments to be the hero. I think that's a little bit of what you see with Jalen Brunson is that he's the hero. He's going to come through, save the day, take the S off on his chest, and he's going to ride. We don't want to see him in red tights, but I'm just saying he's going to show up with a cape and tights. And I think the team has that kind of belief that they're never out of games and they can win games down the stretch. And I think they've kind of a little bit of granted, thinking that, we're going to catch him, we're going to win. Because they have proven they've done that. We've seen it in the playoffs. Last season, they were a team that came down from 25 points, 20-plus points in Boston twice to win the game. So when you got that kind of belief, and I think Jalen Brunson obviously believes in himself, I think his team believes in him also, I don't think they panic. So the urgency, I don't think, is there initially in the beginning of the game because they believe they're going to eventually catch up and surpass their competition and win in the end. The problem being is that when a team comes out hot, and they're looking to punch you in the mouth, I think that's when the Knicks kind of overestimate their abilities to overcome the insurmountable. odds. And I think that's what leads to these slow starts sometimes, is that they believe that they're going to be okay in the end. And for the most part, yeah, they have been. But against really good teams or young teams like we saw the other night in Golden State, team you didn't prep for, clearly there were a bunch of unknowns on the floor. You can play with fire when you're doing that in too many games or too many situations, especially a hot shooting night. But if a team gets hot from the outside, the Knicks are done, trying to catch up because a lot of points can get put on the board. But, it showed a resiliency, too. They came back in the game. It was an ugly game. It should have never got out of hand in the first place. But like I said, I just think it's the personality of Jalen Brunson, and the team kind of goes along with believing they're going to win in the end, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see that being an issue, being a reason. But I posted it. The reason I said that the starting lineup needs to be changed because we've had this discussion in the past. Now, normally my reservations have been around Josh Hart. My reservations have changed about the player I think who needs to be removed. But we'll get back to him later because it's a larger discussion to have. So Joe, I will go to you now. Your thoughts?
I was like,
hold on. I'm using my psychic abilities to guess who this is, and I'm going to.
You look like Professor X. So yeah, go ahead.
Forehead and pull it out later.
Joe's like, calm me down. Calm me down.
So Joe, do you have an explanation or a reason why you think they're starting slow?
I don't know. I don't. They haven't had good first quarters and everything like that. And I think a lot of what was just said made a lot of sense. It just seems to be their rhythm lately, and it hasn't been all season. I'm not too concerned about it, honestly. You see the end result that's on the court right now, and the end result's pretty good. I mean, granted, they haven't exactly the schedule hasn't exactly been a murderer's row since we left LA, but still, I'd be interested to see if they fix that going into the playoffs. I think I get this feeling you're going to see different stuff come time for the playoffs. I think there's a lot of things that are being sat on right now, and I think you're going to see a different team that's going to come out in the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. But I think it's just the rhythm of the team, man. It's not something that really has had me concerned necessarily because they have seemed to be able to overcome that. Mm-hmm. But if they start pulling that in the Detroit series in the first quarter, I'll be a little bit more concerned about it. So, again, I don't think I've thought too deeply on it because, again, they seem to pull out of it. But if it translates over and they bring it into the playoffs, that's more of a concern for me, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that too. My fear is that you get into these modes and it's hard to shake out of them, right? Like it's hard to snap out of that. You can just flip a switch and then turn it on when you need to. I hope they can, if that's the case. And it seems like they can in a game. Like I feel like they start slow and then they're like, oh, damn, we're playing. And then and then they start playing better. That Warriors game was interesting. I was laughing really because John, our friend John, who's in our chat, went to the game.
And no one played Golden State.
Yeah, he kept saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna walk out." Oh, and I was just laughing. It was funny to watch. He's like, "If it wasn't for me to see my wife's first game, I would have left." I'm like, and I'm sitting there like, "How? You know how much you pay for those damn tickets? I'm not leaving. I'll stay to the very end to watch."
Now you know how the 13-year-old kid that goes to see Steph Curry.
Yeah, I know. I'm not leaving. No way. But I get it. I do get it. When you look at that roster, you're like, wow, we should be destroying them.
Yeah.
But to Ty's point, and I kept saying, I'm like, well, they see that the players see that roster too, right? So they're walking into that game thinking, we could play at half speed and probably still beat these guys. And then they look up and they're down 20 points.
Yeah, you revert to your mean. It's human nature.
Yeah. So, and I get that in these games. But to your point, Joe, if they start doing this against the Detroits of the world in the playoffs, or they're playing OKC in next week, I think, a little bit coming up. If they do that against those teams, then it'll be like, okay, we got it. This is something that's a big problem.
The reason I'm less concerned about that is this is a pretty playoff season team, and the courts played together for a while. They know what time it is. I would be more concerned if I hadn't seen them in the playoffs. I mean, granted, it didn't end the way we wanted to last year, but there were some really positive things to see on how this team put the boot down on people.
Mm-hmm.
Teams that we didn't think they were going to win necessarily against. So,
yeah, I mean, a couple of lucky shots in the Pacers game. I getting extremely hot in the Pacers series.
yep.
That won them a game. Like these anomalies that happened in that series.
Better health.
Yeah.
The coaching. I mean, we got to throw that a little bit in there.
Yep.
You start seeing the team slip away with their lead. There's nothing wrong with a timeout when momentum is getting crazy. And in a league where it can shift so quickly with 3 shots, literally 3 3-pointers in your game, the whole mentality of the team that's bombing those threes and the team that's receiving those bombs, it shifts pretty quickly in the NBA. So Tom Thibodeau, I mean, this is why we think Mike Brown is here. The ability to say, let me pivot or let me make an adjustment. The Halliburton shot. I mean, could he do it again? Probably not ever again. Nobody's ever making that shot again. But it's just the luck of the garden that you've seen this as Knicks fans. You've seen these things. So it's like you got to step on their damn throat. And, when the game went into overtime, I was like, they're not going to win that. I think I stopped watching the series after. I'm like, they're cooked. Because there was no resiliency. Like, you could tell they weren't going to trust the coaching anymore. Coaching was out the window. And who was the leader? I don't know if we've ever defined the leader on the Knicks. As I said before about Jalen, he's the captain, but we don't know who the mental leader is on that team. So there's a lot of little things here and there. But I do trust that they'll be fine in the playoffs, though. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
I want to hop in one real quick about Jalen's leadership. They did seem to respond in that players-only meeting that he called.
No, that's true.
That is at least a sign.
That's true.
I don't know if it's evidence, but it's a sign.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy who leads more by example. Yeah, he's definitely one of those types.
We saw him get in the call. Get on call. We if you're a good lip reader, it didn't probably need too much reading. We saw what he the explicatives and saying you want the ball, go do this, and I was a little shocked to see Jalen even get like pissy. I guess that's the best way because I don't think he's like a mean person. He got a little pissy. So you need that. You got to, Michael Jordan punched Steve Kerr in the eye, and they got 6 titles. You need somebody willing to punch somebody in your locker room. You need a little bit of crazy in your locker room that's going to say, we're not here to be just friends. We're here to get business done. And it's good to see him start to give a damn and get mad. He should get mad. He's got a short window to get this thing done.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Jalen Brunson. He missed the game last night. He seems to be a little nicked up right now. So I know it was just one game, and I'm sure he'll probably be playing again tomorrow, and this will all be crazy to even talk about. But with this slate of games they have coming up before OKC, Charlotte should be a tough one, but I feel like the other games they should be able to win without him. Would you give him more of an extended rest? What do you guys think?
I was just going to pull up the standings. How close are we in the seeding, and how does that affect the seeding? So
I think we're only a half a game behind Boston now.
That puts a different coat of paint on it because you want to avoid Detroit for as long as possible. You want to get Detroit in the big spotlight series where they haven't been yet, because that's when they're the most vulnerable, I think. It depends, man. If it's for seeding, you gotta bring your dogs out, man. But if it doesn't matter, you sit them, of course. But this is the time of year. What are they? 12 games left. Seeding becomes more important. Each win becomes very important.
I think it's 12 left. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
if you can get the 2 seed, you get the 2 seed.
I was wondering. I was wondering if they're even concerned about the seeding. Sometime this team does not. It's something about this team.
It's about when you see Detroit.
Yeah, I think the thing about this team, which is a little bit weird, because as a fan base, we obviously want them to win every game.
Yeah,
we are very concerned about the seeding. I always wonder if they're concerned, because for a team that should be concerned, have a healthy concern about saying we can't beat Detroit, or I don't think they're avoiding smoke is my point. I think they don't care where they lie as long as they have first round home advantage. I think that seems to be where they're coasting at. This team is notoriously under Thibs, and as Jalen Brunson being the captain has fallen 2 and 3. That's where they tend to land for some reason over the last several seasons. So I don't know. I just think that for a team that would be that much more concerned, I think they'd be playing a little bit more with more urgency in some of these games that we're talking about, the slow starts and, not coasting. They've seemed like they've coasted on several games where you're like, well, don't you see the opportunity there to go catch Boston or to stay in front of Cleveland? I think they're good with Cleveland. But if they want to catch Boston, this is the prime time that you maybe can. Because I know we look at Tatum's back, but Tatum's not that efficient. He's back. So the nostalgia's there, but he's not like killing it from a percentage perspective. I think that could actually hurt them in the playoffs by him, if you rely on him too much and not just the system of what they got going on in Boston that's been winning the games prior to him coming back. But I don't know. I don't think this team cares about it. For me, watching them all year, I didn't feel like they were like, oh, we definitely got to get the second seed. I think they're happy between 1 and 3, and they might not want 4th. I think that's what they don't want.
I don't think they're afraid to play on the road.
I don't think so either.
No, look at last year, what they did on the road. Mm-hmm. But for me, again, it's just when you're going to play the hardest team. I think that's important. And I agree with you, Ty. I don't think they're thinking that way. Mm. I'm thinking that way. Personally.
Yeah, fans, we all think. I'm like, go get what the highest one you can get. I don't think they're. I mean, as much as Jalen Brunson just reminds me of one of those people that I know the Knicks have lost those games against Detroit, but I think that he's been doing homework the whole time that he's been losing. Like he's just one of those guys, one of those players that's wired to say, let me figure out what they're going to take away. So they're taking all the punches. It's like a Rocky movie. He took all the big punches, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm bloodied. I've been punching meat all day. Pause probably for anybody. I've been punching meat all day, and now I'm going to take all that Apollo has. And there's all these radio moments coming out. But anyway, no, that's a bizarre dude. But needless to say, this is basketball we're talking about. But listening to like how Brunson tends to operate, he's very cerebral. I think he's been allowed. These teams have been beating the hell out of him, and I think that he will unlock it somewhere in the playoffs at some point. And I don't think they buy Detroit as much as we as a fan base feel. Last year, Eric knows last year what we said, they might not get out the first round. That was the first thing we said when Detroit's scary.
They almost didn't get out of the first round. It felt like it.
They almost didn't. Yeah, they almost didn't.
But look how confident I think Detroit, and honestly, I think Detroit had a hot start. But I feared that team last year more than this team. And I know Cade's better. But you had Dennis Schroeder, who was giving the Knicks problems. You had Beasley, who was giving the Knicks a lot of problems. There was a lot of headaches. Like, we're looking at now Stewart coming back. I mean, you worried about him that much? No. Usually Tobias Harris is like the real pain in the ass. He wants to have his Long Island moment always in the Garden. And I think somebody like him becomes problematic. But if you take away Cade, that team is cooked. You take away him. If you can limit him and make him a shooter, not that he hasn't shown he can shoot it, but in a playoff series, when it gets down to the nuts and bolts, I think the Knicks fear. I would fear. Eric knows I've said it, I fear Boston more than I would fear Detroit because of the experience Boston has, and they want us.
The problem with Detroit, or the problem that I see with Detroit, is they're starting to buy into this whole we're the new bad boys thing, and they try to make every game dirty, and dirty it up and try and bring everyone down to their level. And when you have a superstar like Cade who can score points and do all that stuff, and you can do that because if you dumb it down and then he gets going, he can win games for you, even if everyone else is not operating. The two guys that bother me the most, or the two guys on that team, it's not really Cade because he's going to do what he's going to do. The two guys that I don't want to say scare me, but I think you have to be aware of is Duren. I think Duren is obviously we have Mitch and Cat, and we have bigs we can throw out there. So he's kind of a guy who bothers me because of his athleticism. He's a really good athlete. He's kind of the player we don't have. So he bothers me. And then Thompson, because, yes, Brunson can score on him and can figure him out, but he still slows him down and he just leans on him the whole game. And he does that kind of stuff. Um, Thompson. And then a former St. John's player, too, Dennis Jenkins, has given the Knicks problems this year already. He's been fantastic for them most of the season. So it's just guys like that. I feel like they have a bunch of guys now, especially guards, that they can just throw at Brunson and all these different looks. And so the matchup isn't my favorite matchup when I look at them. It wasn't last year either. That's why I thought they might lose because I didn't like the matchup. But they have experience now. They have that experience, right? They lost last year. So they have that first round experience.
They also have Bickerstaff.
They have experience losing.
Yeah, they also have
experience losing, but you have to experience losing if you believe it.
I get what Eric is saying. Yeah, they see sometimes what ends up happening in these situations where you're confident that you can come out and beat a team like the Knicks, and they're like, oh, we're going to punk them, we're going to do what we want. Then you lose that game, that important game in your home, which is going to usually happen unless the Knicks break all their legs. They're going to take one in Detroit, and they're going to probably try to take the first game. If they ever zap the first game, it's a wrap because they're back to where they started. And that's what. And I knowing Brunson, that dude has a kill list. I know he has probably the longest kill list because of being undersized and under-believed about, or whatever you want to say. He's just been under everything, under the bridge, under everywhere. That type of dude, I know he's looking to go out and in the words of the Jamaicans, I murder them. I know he's going out to try to murder them as soon as he gets into Detroit. All those FU Brunsons that we heard last year, he was in that hospital. He ate all that up.
Yeah,
we got a killer. We haven't seen one.
We do.
That type of dude that thinks he's going to come in and go, "Oh yeah, you think you beat us? All right, hold that thought."
Being that we're on the Pistons right now, I want to bring up something you said after the series last year with that crossover when he dropped Thompson.
Yes.
You said he was setting him up for that play the entire series. And that was so accurate and so on point, and I didn't think of it. And then I was like, oh, my God, he's right.
It was the most – I mean, I'm telling you, there's two shots I've seen like that. And unfortunately, it wasn't in the finals for us, but it was Jordan against Byron Russell. And because it was how it happened. It's like he outsmarted the guy. We saw the Jordan shot to me was one of the best shots ever. It wasn't because Michael could hit last-second shots. We've seen that a million times. It was a little push on the ass. The little push on the ass that no one could see, especially the refs. You had to watch it on the replay. And by that time, the cookies were already baked. And it was like, that's how Brunson was. Brunson was just like, you're going to go that way, and I'm going to go this way. And he nailed it. I mean, there's not that many clutch players in the NBA like Jalen Brunson. No. There's not many in all the decades when you watch it over a period of time. Damon Lillard, one of those people that you go, oh, God, he has the ball in the end. Paul Pierce, oh, he got the ball in the end. There's problems. Jalen Brunson's one of those dudes. We got one. We just not used to having one on the Knicks, but we got a killer. We got one of those killers.
His whole career, Brunson's whole career is based off of that. Like angles, being smarter than the guy defending him. Knowing how to create contact, all of that, his footwork, everything he's done has been cerebral to get here because he wasn't athletically gifted enough to rely on that. So I totally agree with you. That's why I said he usually figures it out. Like during the series, he might start out a little difficult, but by the end, he's like, ha ha ha, look what I figured you out. I got you now. So he's not the guy I worry about. I know he'll be there and he'll do what he needs to do. And I just look at that matchup with that team and the bodies they can throw on him, and they're going to do that. They've already shown it already. That's what their plan is with him. They'll throw Thompson on him. They'll throw other guards at him, then just throw guys with size. Then they'll throw a guy who's his size, and that's how they're going to plan to do it. So, like I said, they're going to want to dirty up the game, slow it down, and thus far this year, we haven't seen the Knicks meet that challenge when they've done that. They haven't been able to meet that challenge. Now we can look back at Boston last year and say same thing happened with Boston last year. The Knicks couldn't stop them, and everyone was expecting that to be a sweep. Like I remember, what's his name, Jay Williams on First Take saying the Knicks will be lucky to get a game, and then look what happened, right? So yes, this team seems to be able to learn their mistakes during the season, and then when the playoffs come, apply what they've learned, and that's what you should do. But still, that match, I don't like that matchup at all for them. I don't. So we'll see what happens. We'll have time to
There's
talk
a reason
about
they're
this
the
going
first
forward.
seed.
What do you say?
There's a reason they're the first seed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there is. I mean, they've had a fantastic year. I can't hate on anything they've done. And if they weren't in our division, I'd probably like them a little bit more because I do kind of like the way they play.
I've always been a closet Pistons fan.
All right, so you kind of but screw that. I hope they lose in the first round and we don't have to play them.
Exactly.
That's what I'm wondering about who they will face in the first round, because we know what they are to the Knicks. Well, what is their kryptonite? What is the team?
I'd like to see them play Atlanta. I'd like to see Atlanta end up with the
who has been surprisingly playing very well.
Yeah.
Charlotte's been playing good, which is kind of scary.
They got bones on that team. They're a move or two from being something, I think.
Yeah,
they're another one. I mean, Miami with their experience and their coach, you really want to play them in the first round? That's another tough matchup. So yeah, the eighth seed this year.
I think Boston wants to avoid Miami. I think avoid Miami. If you're Boston, you want to avoid Miami.
Yeah, psychologically, that's probably in their head still. And Spoelstra is just such a good coach. I would not in a first round series. No, thank you. I would not want to go up against
him in the first round to be read. Now that would scare me more than the other teams because he's just a better coach. He knows his stuff.
Yeah. So that's the scary part. Though.
I'm just looking at the standings. They could play Philly too.
Yep, they could. And again, they're always a wild card, right? Whatever. If you get them at their best, they're a really tough team.
Yep.
But which team is going to show up? You never know.
Orlando's right there too.
I think they're going to stay at 6. I don't see them dropping to the play-in series. I know they're only half a game right now, but I don't know. I think that team is too talented. I think they'll be okay. Yeah, they're a similar team in that they're mostly young, right? Like Orlando's mostly a bunch of younger guys, and so that would be a fun matchup. I think that'd be a fun matchup in the first round. But I don't think they're going to drop to 8. I'd be really shocked if they did. So. All right, so we touched on this before. I'm going to bring it up now.
You're shocked.
So, yes. Now, everyone knows my feelings on him. From the moment.
I may have missed that. You might want to bring me up.
And it goes back to the draft. It's not even recent. I have been this way about him the entire time, the whole time. So it's not new, huh?
You don't say.
Got a horse? Bam!
I'm not going to go down the list of things that I think are wrong with him as a player. We've done all that. I'm at the point now with him where I'm like, okay, what can we do to increase his confidence? Because regardless of how I feel about him, he's here. He's on the team. He's a part of this team. He's going to be part of the rotation. They're not taking him out of it completely.
No.
So what can we do to get him back to being the player who I guess that we've seen for the bulk of his career? I'm past the point of expecting him to come out and try and be the third scorer. That's never happening. I'm gonna erase that from my brain and my expectations. That's never gonna happen. Thankfully, OG has ascended to that spot. He has been fantastic, starting to score. So I don't even need him to do that. I'm even past the point where I'm expecting him to be a lockdown defender. Now I just want him to be a good enough defender. I don't care if he locks the guy down. Just make it difficult on the other guy. That's all I care about now. And what I want him to be able to do again is hit threes. Like, if he can be a 3-and-D player again, I'll be fine.
He's shooting
But
30% from March.
yeah, he's averaging 7 points. 7 in his last 6 games. Now, some people are saying, oh, well, it's the streak. He's trying to play through something. If that's the case, okay. But that's when the team needs to step in and be like, no, you need to sit. If you really can't play or if you're hurt or something's bothering you, nagging injury, you need to sit down. Screw the streak. We're trying for something bigger here. And so, yes, my history with this player has been well documented. I'm not going to go through all the problems. My question is, I want to be helpful and supportive now. So my question is to you guys, what can we do to build up his confidence and give me ideas? What do you think they need to do? Because we can't go on with him this way. I don't think we can. So who wants it?
I'll field it, but I won't like it.
Okay.
What we need to do is pray. So the thing with Mikal Bridges is he's not going to get the shots within the offense to really get him in rhythm. But we all know, we all saw the Boston series last year. Mm-hmm. He's not a consistent lockdown defender, but he can pull that card out anytime. Mm-hmm. And again, we've seen him. He seems to be okay in big moments. Now, I'm going to say I have defended this guy. I in the beginning of the season on this show, I said I thought he was going to have a big year. This was going to be a turnaround year for him, and we were going to see a different player. That didn't happen. And for the first time, I was looking at that trade going, which I defended that trade, like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. But he does have the capacity for these genius moments that shift games. And if he does that at the right time in the playoffs, I don't care what happened in the season. So I'm praying that's the version that we're going to get in the playoffs. I'm going to pray that he has the magic. He brings it out at the right time, and he wins us a couple of key games. And then I won't care about the rest of it. That's my take. So pray.
So prayer is Joe's answer.
Yeah, I don't even believe in God, but
feels like I'm calling him though this time.
You're making an exception.
You said I will believe in God. And it's linked to a lot of this and the Canyon of Heroes, and I might start, going to Sunday mass. All
right, so Joe is prayer time. What is your?
This Jesus.
What is your plan to get him back to rebuild the bridge? There we go.
Yeah, hip hop. The bridge is over. So we keep hearing about Mikal Bridges. Oh man, Mikal. For me, there's layers of Mikal in my opinion. When we look at the player, I think one we have to start talking about the streak. When I looked at how many games this dude has played a lot of damn games.
Yes.
He's played a lot of damn games.
100%.
And I think the second player, he's gotten by 400 plus games. He's never missed a game from the time he played college to the whole entire NBA career. So when I look at him, I'm like, well, where we go to trading places, I got legs. I ain't got no damn legs. Literally, he's sitting there like Billy Ray Valentine. He has no legs. I mean, we have to start thinking about along the lines of, I think this is a Mike Brown issue. I haven't really jumped on Mike Brown a lot, but I'm going to jump on Mike Brown in this instance. And he's kind of done the right thing at the end of games. I think he has to look at Mikal Bridges' minutes and say, much like I just said, this dude's been playing 600 plus games straight. And you're asking him to now guard some of the better defenders. And in this league, a league where you can't hand check, you can't extend an arm, you can't put a paw on someone, you're relying on lateral quickness. You're every night you as a small forward are facing the elite competition in the NBA because the small forward position is where most of the elite people play. So you're saying Mikal Bridges with 600 game legs, in a frail frame, because most of everybody's bigger than him also. You're saying, God, go out there and guard, the fastest point guard in the league, or the most evasive small forward, stronger small forward. These guys that get 25 to 30 in a game, especially when you're playing against the Knicks. Everybody gets 30 against the Knicks. The scrub on the end of the bench. We saw Pat Zinski or whatever his name is, looking like Mo from the Three Stooges. He's coming out there trying to get 50 points in the Garden. So Mikal Bridges is the type of player they're going to throw him and say, Mikal, you know what? In your spare time or your 600 games, go get this dude. And I know Mikal's been like, he has to be thinking that himself, because he's now saying, wait, I'm not getting the shots that I would probably want to get if I was the third option, because he's been completely taken out of that role. He's not third option.
No.
He's now a glue guy on the Knicks. So you're asking a guy like that. He himself said, I had to put my ego to the side. This is something he came out and said. So when we think about that, we was like, well, damn. Well, most of us figured, like, you shouldn't have an ego how the way you've been playing. Like, you have one? Your ego should have been playing better. But you heard him say that. So when I'm going to lend to believe, he is saying, I'm asked to do stuff I'm not comfortable with. And I've been rebelling against that. But now for the betterment of the team, I'm going to go out here and play. Because for me, it seems like Mike Brown has said, you are the guy who's going to defend everyone. We're not worried about your scoring. We're not worried about your stats. We're not worried about the 600 game legs. You're going to go out there and guard the best player. And when you have an opportunity, when a shot comes your way, you could take it. Because the same thing we've seen with Karl-Anthony Towns. You're being asked to do something that makes you uncomfortable. And I think with Mikal Bridges, he's probably rebelled against that, saying, well, you want me to go guard the best guy and exhaust my abilities, and now I'm not getting shots? Because, don't get me wrong, I love Jalen, but Jalen ain't giving up that ball like that. Jalen, well, look, you got to get your own meat. I already bought it out of the grocery store for myself. You go find your own groceries. So when Mikal gets the ball, Jalen's like, well, do what you got to do. And we know Mikal don't got a great handle. He might have a 2-dribble pull-up. Other than that, he's living off of someone kicking the ball out to him. So you got to think along the lines of there's layers to Mikal. There's the games. It's the role he may have been asked to do right now. It's also playing a role he's not familiar with playing, like never touching the ball as much. And now he's also doing cardio back and forth up the floor. Mike Brown should have probably decided to split his minutes, to take some of the minutes, put Diawara in. He's got young legs. Put him in, and he has, towards the end, I will give him credit, in the fourth quarter. Mikal doesn't have it. Mikal's on the bench. So we can't say that he's out destroying games by any means with Mikal. He's saying, you might not got it, buddy. We're not going to kill your streak, but we're going to pull you, and somebody else is going to cook. I think it should happen early in the first quarter. I think let's blend back to when you said about the slow starts. First quarter is when you fix that. You say, oh, you don't want to play hard? I'm yanking you. We got hungry guys on the bench that are willing to come in and do your job if you don't want to start quick or you don't feel inspired to play fast, in the beginning. Now, go take a seat and see how inspired with the splinters you get. That's the thing I think that Brown has done wrong, is not pull Mikal early and give him those minutes. Say, hey, buddy, we need you. You engaged? Are you going to be engaged? If you're not, those are not your minutes right now. We'll give it to a kid that's going to be, because Diawara is extremely engaged. He will shoot everybody. He's a mass shooter. He will shoot everybody. So he's just going out there throwing up the ball whenever he gets it. So when you look at him, you just motivate him that way. You don't embarrass him, but you motivate him by saying, if you don't have the legs and you're not willing to put the effort in, we got this guy, and you'll just share minutes with him. I don't think it's like the worst case, because you'll get an inspired Mikal and maybe a refreshed Mikal also, because he's not using his legs as much to play a lot of minutes in a game. I think he gets 35 minutes a game. That's a lot of attrition over the years he's been playing basketball. So, and I think he's mentally checked out. I think he's one of those dudes. We saw Josh Hart come to defend him. You ever heard Mikal Bridges talk, like a conversation with Mikal Bridges? Or have you ever watched the podcast with Jalen and him? Like, he's on there and how they pick on Mikal. Like, he's not that guy. Like, he's like, oh, guys, cut it out. He's one of those guys. So he's got a fragile mind. I think if he doesn't feel liked and pushed in a certain way, I don't think that it's going to work. I don't have a problem with the picks. He showed up in the playoffs last year. I think that was the most important thing. He showed up in the playoffs in the biggest moments for the Knicks that we've never been to in over 20-some years. He's got credit for me. With me, he's got credit. Until he sucks in this year's playoffs, he's got credit because we never got as far without him. Those 2 games in Boston were obviously – could you guys name 2 bigger stops?
No, I mean, those plays are right now what he's banking, what he can bank on and say, look, I showed up when it counted.
He won that series.
He won that series.
Yeah,
he won it.
for sure. Like, again, the problems I have with him have always been this. Like, it's always been this thing with me with him. Like, even in college, I remember talking about the draft, I know Craig was high on him. Craig's a Villanova fan, so that was one of the reasons. But I know Craig was high on him when we were talking about going into that draft. And I was like, because he just doesn't show up all the time. Or it was things like that with him at that point. And I just wasn't the biggest fan of his. I'm like, he's a 3-and-D guy. Do you really want to take one of those guys in the lottery? There was a lot of things going on there. And then when he went to Phoenix and I saw how great a defensive player he was, I was like, oh, okay, well, at least, he's that. He's an elite defensive guy. He can hit the 3. And I was like, okay, this makes a little bit more sense. And then when he went to the Nets and had that first when he got traded in that half season, he looked like an all-star. And everyone's like, okay, there's more there with him. He can be more than what we've seen. And he's showing it now. He hasn't been that ever since, obviously. Even with the Nets, when he had the full season there with the Nets, he averaged 20, but that wasn't the 26 he was averaging when he first came over to the team. So with him, it's always been that with me. And then the picks were just gravy. Like, giving up that many picks to me for a guy like him, it's not something you do. It's bad team management. I never liked it. I never liked the idea. I understood it because at that time I felt like everyone was doing that, like the Gobert trade, 50 picks. And then I felt like people were just throwing picks out there to just get guys. And the only problem I have with it, and even to this day, is you just take yourself out of future moves. You take yourself out of the ability to be flexible with your roster. So, but I'm shelving all of that right now. He's on the team. He's a big part of the rotation. Like I said, you give up 5 picks for a guy, you're investing in him. They paid him. He's got a contract. So with me now, I'm just looking at ways to we can make it work, get this season going, get him back. I think it's a confidence thing too. Like, to your guys' point, if you're not getting the same amount of shots you're used to getting, can't work yourself into a rhythm, you start missing and you're not getting the opportunities to shoot yourself out of it, it starts weighing on your head like, oh, should I shoot? Should I not shoot? I have seen some of that. I never noticed the fading away. I mean, I don't know how else to put it that this guy does. I never noticed it before in his game until he got here. So I think it was something he changed or added, and now that's like his staple move. Like, I've never seen a guy get close enough to the basket where they can attempt a layup, or even with him, he might be able to dunk it, and he's fading away. Like, it's just very strange to me. So I think all of this ties in with the confidence. I just feel, and your guys' suggestions are great. I'm wondering if it would be smart for them to remove him from the starting lineup, have him as the first guy off the bench.
Not somebody that's struggling with confidence.
Yeah, I would never do that with him.
Because I'm just thinking, if he's got more of a role in the offense as a second unit player, then maybe that would boost his confidence.
I think they should play with the second unit more. I think they should play. They could stagger.
Don't take him out of the starting line.
But not take him out of the I think you limit his minutes in the starting lineup. I think you keep him engaged that way. And then find a way. See, it'd be different if Mikal was like what I thought he was, because I only know him of what you hear about him as much as I didn't watch him play a lot. I always thought that he was a capable guy who was a playmaker, and I'm realizing he does not have that in his bag. He has the ability to slash, obviously play good defense, hit the open 3. You know, he's got a high clip of, I think he's like 36% in his career, something like that. But I expected he had more playmaking ability. So what you have to do with Mikal is now you have to put him with the guy that a lot of people want to see play more is Tyler Kolek. He works absolutely great with Tyler. Tyler gets him in every spot he wants to hit. So it's like it would behoove, but we go back to the same mentality when you think about it. Mikal technically is a role player. That's what he is in the league, right? I think everybody agrees with that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make concessions for a role player to feature them. So it's not like he's Jalen. It's not like he's Cat. And even Mike has went to Cat and says, I'm not making concessions for you. So the only one with the concession stand in the Garden is Jalen Brunson. He's the only one with the concession stand in the whole team. Whereas the other guys have been asked to just fit the hell in and do what the hell they need to do and get it to the point where Jalen can help win the game. So they're not going to go out of their way to make Mikal feel comfortable, and especially when you see a guy like OG who made himself comfortable. He decided to say, the hell with that. I'm scoring. I'm taking this thing tough to the basket and no one can stop me because I'm bigger than most people. He's gotten the memo, whereas Mikal's more finesse, the fadeaway, like you said. I think he's got more of a artistic way to his game. Like I think he's like modeling after Kevin Durant more than anyone. It's like, but you're not efficient like Durant.
Yeah.
You're not that slim.
6'11".
Yeah, you got the build of it, but you're more of a player that needs to be playing more like Scottie Pippen. To be honest, that's what you should be. But he's not
the body like Pippen for sure.
Yeah, being like Pippen wasn't a great outside shooter, but had the ability to handle a little bit. But once again, we go back to the handling. He doesn't have Scottie's playmaking ability.
He doesn't.
So you're limiting this guy. He's either going to make his shots or he's not. I don't think you can ask him to go create offense. But Clyde brought up something great last night. He said, well, when your shot's not falling, why don't you just go to your mid-range game still? Like the three-point shot, I hate that shot. I think too many people just take it and you're not great at it. You're just good at it. Go to something that you're great at. I mean, we see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We see Jalen Brunson. We see Nikola Jokic. We've seen these guys have mid-range games that work. They work. It's not like you got to live by the three and die by the three all the time. So you can just get in the middle of that. That would be kind of good if he just did that. But there's wiring issues. Like I said, there's layers to Mikal. I don't know.
I'd be happy if he just rose up and shot the ball instead of fading away all the time. That would be fine with me.
Well, yeah.
Well, one way you play 400 straight games without going out is avoiding contact.
Yes, I said that in the past myself. Yeah. One way how you stay in play is you don't exactly.
That's why AC Green's streak will never be taken because AC Green took all the contact.
He was a power forward.
With a Jerry.
What's up?
With a Jerry curl. He did that.
With a Jerry curl, yes.
Yes, he rocked that.
So glow.
He did.
He rocked Jesus and the Jerry curl.
Yeah, he never. By the time he got to the fade, his Big Daddy King fade, he was working out, but he was so glow for the longest time. But in a more contact era, there was no light in the assness.
80s into the early 90s. The game never got more full contact than that.
And I think we can look at Mikal too. That's an ego thing right now for him. Like when you think about what is Mikal Bridges like, he's not going to ever be like a superstar. So we know he's not that. But what is he? He's got the moniker of being the Iron Man. Like that's his thing. He's going to walk around forever in the NBA laws of knowing he was the Iron Man. Like that means something to him. And I think he's concentrating on that more, which I understand. I mean, whatever you're great at is what you're great at. And I can understand that. But he has a little bit of an
legacy is important.
Preserving his body, walking around his chest poked out like, I played 700 games. And it's a hell of a feat. It's sort of like what LeBron is doing with the 20-plus seasons. Look at LeBron. He's dunking at 20. Yeah, but are you winning? Is that winning basketball because you've got a streak going? When are you going to make a sacrifice? We saw Mikal like over the last, past month, before this month, but before, he was starting to attack the basket a little bit more. We saw him actually drive. It's just not consistent. I don't know if he gets worried about the streak, about going in and getting the contact, and that's causing you to do this goofy fadeaway shot when you're already 2 inches at the rim. makes no sense for me. But I think it comes from the bench too, the players. Same way Jose Alvarado told Cat, what he told Cat. He says, they can't stop you. Meaning, get down in there. They can't stop you. Somebody needs to tell McCall, you need to dunk every damn shot. You get that close to the basket, you need to finger roll, lay up, or dunk. You don't need to go fading back to Back to the Future. Marty McFly.
It's almost like he stops his momentum, and then he fades back. And then when you're doing that, even if your shot's online, it's going to hit the back of the rim and bounce out because
it's a goofy shot. It's a goofy
it's just a ridiculous shot.
Goofy damn shot. It's an unnecessary shot in a league where they're not as physical, a league where there's not that many shot blockers. You know, he has a good quick first step. He can get to the rim. It's not like he can't get to the rim. I'm not saying his package is terrible. He's a great slasher. It's just when he gets there, he's like, look at lazy boys. Well, what the hell is that? That's like
if you're not scoring, the best thing you can do is get to the line.
Yeah, but he's only
the line.
Eric knows I brought this up when I first started.
James Harden. James Harden made a career out of getting to the line.
He has never been to the line. This dude, I was shocked. When anybody who's a Knicks fan and you want to know the history of McCall, go all the way back to his rookie year until this current year, then you'll find this dude does not shoot free throws. He does. No. He averages 2 free throws, which is why would another coach fix that? You get what I'm saying? Like all this time in the league, and you had no coach to say, "Hey, look, I know that's all cute, but I need you to start going to the rim." Like, how do you wait this long to have these bad habits these guys have created? Because as a rookie, your first and second year, you're not guaranteed no time. So the coach can ask a lot of you before you get in the game. And you just said, let this dude not even get any contact? That's crazy. That's
it's only those 27 games with the Nets when he first came over. He averaged about 7 free throws a game. And since then,
that's right.
So that's like the peak of his free throw attempts. This year, he's averaging about 1. He's just averaging 1.
That's unacceptable. That is really unacceptable when you think about it.
Right now, I would have to say, like I said, winning a championship, it sure is all. If they win a title, doesn't matter. But right now, that was a bad trade. I can say it. That was a bad trade. I don't care what anyone says. That was not a good trade.
I think the thing there with McCall, and I think the thing that Knicks fans should hold on to is that, and I say the same thing about him. He has not really been too much of a different player. Like we see the free throws, lack of free throws. However, we can say that when he did go to the finals, that dude was almost MVP. So we could say from last year also, when he got into the playoffs, he won as Boston. So we got to believe that this guy is a money player more so than a consistent regular season player, because that's what I'm believing McCall Bridges is. I think he floats through the season, maybe to preserve this dumbass streak he has going, because that's what it feels like to me. It's great. You didn't miss any games. Okay. Well, they're not going to give you nothing at the end for it. And you're not catching AC Green. No matter what he does, he's never catching AC Green. So what are we doing here? Play your heart out, because you're in the wrong city to play a finesse game. Look at Josh Hart last night. Do you think Knicks fans ain't love Josh Hart after last night even more? Guy got a broken finger, and he shoots better with the broken finger. The finger, they should have jacked his finger up since he was a Knick, because clearly he can shoot better with a jacked up finger. It's amazing.
That's why my thought process changed. Like I was like, well, maybe I wanted Hart taken out of the starting lineup, but maybe it's
McCall should be out of the starting lineup. If you want me to be honest, I've said this before. Hart should be playing McCall's position, and McCall should be on the bench. And you can bring in Shamet, or I don't like the Deuce situation. I think it's a little too undersized with him and Brunson. I do like Shamet. Not that Shamet made it any better the last couple of games when he started, because he wet the bed too. But my point is that you get somebody willing to shoot and be aggressive on offense, whereas McCall, you're waiting for him to be that aggressive type. And he kind of floats and he watches the game, and then all of a sudden he might engage, but you got to constantly feed him to keep him engaged. No NBA player making that kind of money needs to be told to be motivated. That's
true. Very true. So I'm going to ask you guys something, and you tell me who this player is. I'm going to give you a bunch of stats. You tell me who this player is.
Mm-hmm.
More points than Steph Curry or LaMelo Ball. More three-pointers made than Devin Booker or Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. More steals than Evan Mobley or Rudy Gobert. More double-doubles than Luka Doncic or Cade Cunningham. More assists than Amen Thompson or Isaiah Hartenstein. And a higher plus-minus than Jalen Brown and Anthony Edwards.
Is this a Nick or is this another player in the league?
I will give you a hint. It is a Nick, yes. I will give you.
It is?
Yeah, it's a Nick. It's a Nick.
Towns.
It is Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, he's the only one who can have numbers. I can. Brunson doesn't have those. You said assists, all that stuff, and rebounds.
Yeah. I left off the rebounds because then you probably would have got it. So it was more rebounds than Jokic or Wembanyama. And
I thought you were talking about Jokic if it wasn't a Nick.
I was thinking Jokic. That's the first person I thought. But when you say Nick, then I was like, it's Karl. It can't be anyone else. And you know what's crazy is that he could be playing better.
That's the thing, and that's what I was gonna say. Like the narrative with him this year is he's had a bad year, or if you look at his season and the first half, I would agree it wasn't the best. I feel like the changes they made, and when he finally, which we talked about, when he finally like, all right, this is what they want me to do. That's what I'm gonna do. He started to play better. So yes, I'll give him the credit. But I was just looking at those names on that list, and I saw that, and I was like, that's pretty damn impressive. You have two guys, 4 guys who are in, if you include Jalen Brown, 5 guys who are in the MVP discussion that I named on that list. A guy who he was his former teammate in Edwards, and you just look at those names, and the steals thing was the most surprising to me. You have Mobley on that list and Rudy on that list, 2 guys who are defensively known to be defensive players. So it was just a very interesting thing, and I wanted to bring it up because we need to be careful with how we construct these narratives and what it is exactly that we believe in when we see those things. Now, yes, statistics don't always tell the full story. I know that. But the other thing I want to bring up is the highest individual over the last month, Towns has the highest individual plus minus of any player in the league. So, and that would probably go to the point we said, he bought in, he's playing better, that's happening. But I think we just need to be careful with how we choose to construct these narratives on things, because when you see this and then you hear, if you listen to just people talking and chatting, you would be like, get the hell out of here. There's no way it's him. You wouldn't believe he'd have those kinds of numbers. So,
well, you know, it's funny you bring that up because today I was looking up something and I thought this was pretty crazy. When you look at the Knicks, like if everybody was asking what the state of the Knicks, what do you think the general consensus would be of the Knicks? If you would have asked this fan base right now, what is your opinion of the Knicks? What would they probably tell you think?
They're not good enough.
They're not good enough, right? You'd say they're like a terrible team, right? Like they have been so up and down. So we know that in the playoffs, was it how many rounds? 4 rounds?
Yeah.
4 rounds, possible 7 games. Say the Knicks maxed out and played all 7 games. That'd be like 28 games altogether. Am I correct? I'm using my Riverhead math here. 28 games. The Knicks, this is a little off. What do you think the Knicks have been doing in the last 25 games?
The schedule's been softer.
I'll just tell you. The Knicks have won 72% of their last 25 games.
I believe that.
For a team that everyone talks about, but the inconsistency, we have the McCall living on a milk box. We have Jalen Brunson being stingy, not sharing, as we've heard. We've heard Karl Anthony Towns not get it. You know, he's aloof and he's got all this other stuff. You heard OG Anunoby like, oh, you know, is he hurt? Is he playing in Denver? You know, is he going to miss in some games? We've seen Deuce McBride not being able to play. We've seen inconsistencies all around the board. We've seen drops off with Jose Alvarado at times. We've seen the interchangeable lineup, et cetera, et cetera. Questions about Mike Brown's schemes. Yet if you were to put those numbers, if the Knicks were even maxing out in the playoffs, because I don't think our team is even great yet, but it's the fact that they are clumsily winning 72% of their games, and we think that they're a flawed team. And they've had key wins against what I think is the best team right now in basketball, which is San Antonio. They beat them in the cup, and they smacked them at home. And had Champagny not got hot, they would have been 3-0 against them.
That's true.
So we look at the Detroit, and I think that is the stinger for most Knicks fans. The Detroit beatdowns that have happened, and we go, oh God, what is this team like? But when you look like, I mean, we know OKC is a different, they're foul. Well, we can look at that game and dissect so many ref-oriented calls that went against the Knicks. And the Knicks, I think, missed their free throws. So, you can bag it whichever way you want. But the Knicks, as clumsy as they are winning a lot of damn games. So if we can transfer a more better play in the playoffs, more play of urgency, because some of these games we said earlier, they've come out and wet the bed in the first quarter. Imagine this team was motivated to play hard in the first quarter and throughout the rest of the other three quarters. The Knicks are not as bad as we think they are, although we suffer through some crap, clearly, because the other night I almost unplugged my television watching a Golden State game. I'm like, you think I'm going to watch this crap? You lost your damn mind. But I think looking over the last, coming down the stretch, the Knicks playing really good basketball. It's not the worst case basketball. It's just sometimes it gets ugly. And us as fans, obviously, we don't want to see that ugly crap because it gives us something to think about.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It doesn't help that the national media, and I'm speaking about one person specifically, who has concerns.
The record? Can we get on the record? That was the worst. When I tell you, I wish he could come on here. Besides all the yelling he wants to do, the inaccuracy and how much of an asswipe this dude is. Excuse my French tonight. The audacity to blame the Knicks' current situation with Mikal Bridges on Jalen Brunson taking less money is, if that's not the worst take that you've ever heard from who? Lord, I mean, when Jalen Brunson took that money, they should have built a statue when he took that discount. He didn't even have to win a title anymore. What Knicks fan complained ever about that dude taking $100 million less? We're like, this falls on Mikal Bridges. This might fall in the front office, but why would you ever go and say, oh, it's Jalen's fault? He took a discount? Are you serious?
Such a lazy take. It is. But it's not just him. Like, there's other it's always been a thing with the national media, whether the Knicks are good or bad. It doesn't matter. When they're good, they're not good enough. When they're bad, they're the worst team to ever exist in history. And I know it's because they're a New York team and it brings eyeballs and ears. So I get it. I get it from a marketing thing, and you want to do that. But God, can this guy shut up? You call yourself a Knicks fan, and then you pull these stats out, and you're like, yeah, that's not even close to being true. Like, what are you talking about? That's not even close to accurate. And it's not just him, it's other guys who claim to be Knicks fans will say things, and I'm like, do you even watch the team? Like, you don't watch the team.
Watch it. They don't watch it.
I mean, I haven't watched every game, but I would say 95% of them this year I've seen from beginning to end. I've watched every minute. And I know the weaknesses, and I know the strengths, and I know the things that I want them to be better at, and I know the players that I think could be playing better. Mm-hmm. But I could rumble off games and stats and things and tell you why I feel this way. These guys can't do that unless someone gives it to them. Unless one of their production assistants comes around and says, oh, here's the statistics you need to support whatever craziness you're about to say. Like, that's really what it is. So when you think, like I said, the narrative around this team, Ty, to your point, like, if you look at the statistics, you're like, you know what? They're a really good team. They're a very good basketball team. They are a contender and they can win a championship, and all that stuff is true.
It's the fan base. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
That's true too.
And
yes.
It's the media. The media is an extension of the fan base. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're not used to seeing a good team. We're waiting for it to implode. Mm-hmm. That's why these two things are not congruent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The view of the team that you're watching. Eric, we had this conversation the other day. Why can't we just be happy that, we're playing well? Why are we sitting here, drilling this thing into the ground? And it's because we're conditioned.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's like
Stockholm syndrome or something, right? Like, it's nuts. It is. It really does. It really is crazy, and it's weird. Like, we'll do it, but we're just so protective of the Knicks. When we hear someone else do it, like, shut up. You can't say that.
That's the thing in us. We can talk crap. Don't you talk crap about us? You know.
Yeah,
That's
it's crazy, but
Better than-
I just wanted to bring it up. The narratives usually are off. No matter what we're talking about, the narratives that are being pushed nationally on anything now, I'm just noticing, are just usually off.
It's a whole nother subject in itself.
That is, it really is a whole other subject. All right, let's put a ball on this one, guys. We got into some good topics. I want to thank everybody out there for watching us as always. We would not do this if you guys did not watch us and partake in the show. So I want to thank you all for your continued support. If you want to get in touch with any one of us, all our information is there under our names on the screen. At Finally is my personal account. 33 is my personal account on X. At all_Knicks_up is the show account. Genius Scribble for Ty on X. Upstate Joe for Joe on X. If you guys want to reach out to chat with any one of them, feel free to do so. We also have a Facebook page. We have a Facebook page for the show, which the show is actually shown on. That's the show page. And then we have a fan group as well attached to the page. If you guys are not in the fan group or want to hop in and interact, let us know. Reach out to one of us. We will get you in. And hopefully we can start to have some good discussions and takes on that platform as well. But for now, we're going to say good night. So until next week, for Ty and Joe, I'm Eric. You're watching All Knicked Up. See you next week.